Hi, it's Paris from EpicReviewGuys, and it's been a few weeks now that I've been using my new ZTE ZMax gigantic phone, and people have been asking me, hey, how's that working out for you? Well, I'm going to tell you.
EpicReviewGuys.
The ZTE ZMax is one of just a few choices that you have if you want a large phone, a brand new phone, and you don't want to spend a lot of money. Goes for $250. You can buy it direct from T-Mobile, or apparently I've heard from people they now offer it at Walmart, and some people have been saying they've got it for less than $200, so that's really a good deal. Now the phone that I came from was a Google Nexus 5. I'd had this a year, was having various problems, so I've been trying to nurse this one along until the Nexus 6 came out. I figured that was going to be the phone for me till I saw the price. No way was I going to spend $650 on a new phone. So searching around, I decided on this one, and I'll put a link to this video where I explain these decisions and do the unboxing of this phone. I'll put a link to that right up here. So after several weeks, I can tell you that for the most part, I don't regret my purchase. It's a good phone. People have suggested I should have considered the OnePlus One, which is also a phone from a Chinese company, very reasonably priced, very large phone, better specs than this. But it's sort of a lottery trying to get one of those. You had to get invited to buy one from an owner or from one of these raffle lottery things at the company. I didn't care for that. So even though the specs for the OnePlus One look good on paper, this one I could order and have in a couple days. Now the main thing that I don't care for with this phone is the camera, because I use this occasionally in place of my large camera that I've got on the tripod here when we're out and about, or if I want to do something a little closer up. I liked using the camera on the Nexus 5. It was a good camera. Now this is a step down in many ways in hardware from my Nexus 5, but I don't care if the processor is a little slower, that sort of thing. But the camera, that does bother me some. I've had a couple people mention in a video that I recorded with this that it ended up pixelated, those big blocks, when they watched it. Now that could be a YouTube artifact, but I think it's just because of the lower quality resolution that this camera is able to store, and the fact that it doesn't have the optical image stabilization. So I've noticed this camera is always shaky. Whenever I upload to YouTube from it, they always say, "We've noticed your video is shaky. Wouldn't you like us to fix that for you?" So in terms of big negatives for the ZTE ZMax, really that's it. What I like about it, one of the things I really looked forward to in ordering it was the big battery, and it's actually paid off. I don't charge this every day. I have never done that with a phone. Well, okay, maybe 12 years ago with a little flip phone, but in recent times, since I've started having smartphones, I've had to charge them every day. And I've only had this a few weeks, so I can't speak to how the battery will do long term, but so far it's great. If I'm using it just an average amount, if I charge it up completely, use it an average amount, a few calls, some texting, looking some stuff up, doing some Instagram photos, checking YouTube app during the course of the day with Bluetooth on, Wi-Fi on, and the brightness up to around 75–80%. I still don't like the adaptive brightness even on this. It will be at 75% battery life at the end of the day. I think I don't even need to charge it. So I don't even plug it in at night, and the next day I'll use it, and by the end of the next day it's down 40 something. Then usually I will charge it. But I bet on just, if I didn't use it any more than the average amount, I bet I could get 3 days use out of this. Now when we traveled with kids and I was using it for GPS, the kids were watching YouTube videos, playing music, it was on and doing a lot for hours on end. The end of that day, it was down to 20%, and I did have to charge it up, but that's not a usual day for me. I also like the fact that I can, again, hold the phone up here and hear what people are saying. Now, I know a lot of people don't use their phones for calling that much anymore, but after this little earpiece speaker went out on my Nexus 5, it really bothered me because I still talk on my phone a fair amount, and I've gotten used to holding this big thing up to my head, and people don't stare at me too much, but the sound through the earpiece is very good. The sound on loudspeaker is very good and very loud. Playing music, it's plenty loud. Watching YouTube, the sound is not only big, but on the big screen, I didn't really realize how much I would appreciate watching video on what's almost the size of a Kindle Fire, that it makes such a difference from watching it on a smaller screen. So the screen is not a very expensive type screen, but the colors look fine to me. The graphics processor can manage to play video without any streaking or tearing or pixelating or any of those things. So in a game, you may suffer from some of those things. The only game I've played on this is Hill Climb Racing, and it has no trouble with that, and it's actually kind of fun. Of course, a new phone, I got to start all over without any of the special levels or the vehicles, but it's actually kind of fun to start playing it again on the big screen. It makes that much of a difference. The Wi-Fi connectivity has been just as good. It's on my Nexus 5. The Bluetooth works fine with my Pebble watch. It's synced with the car so I can take calls, listen to music. In terms of durability, because it's plastic, not metal, one of the first few days that I had it was driving in the car, and this phone I'm used to setting up on this little shelfy thing right above the radio console in the minivan when I'm using it for GPS. And it stays there. It hasn't been a problem. Well, this thing being so big and a big chunk of it was hanging out, the first left turn I took, it went flying out of the little shelf, hit the door, the passenger door, bounced around on the floor and went under the seat. Now the floor has carpet and the door is padded, but it took a pretty good thwack against the door. No problems, no scratches. So all in all, I'm confident that the ZTE ZMax will do what I need to do and will last for as long as I plan to keep it, which is 1 year. Now I used to spend more money on phones, and I told myself I would keep the phone for 2 years, and maybe the first smartphone, the Nexus 1, I think I did keep that one for 2 years, paid $549 for it. But each phone since, either the battery starts to go or there's some new feature on a phone that I really want to have, I'm only keeping the phones a year anyway. So I would rather spend $250, trade in the phone every year, then spend $650 telling myself, well, it'll be the same because I'll keep it for 2 years. But then a year later, I'm out spending another $650. So it's a Chinese company, ZTE, that makes this phone. I had never heard of them before, but doing a whole lot of research on it, I read people said it's still a well-built, good phone, even if you've never heard of the company. They're obviously trying to break into the US market rather than producing the phone and putting somebody else's name on the back. They want to produce the phone under their own name, sell it in the US. So they're producing a good value, inexpensive smartphone to get their phones out there across the US so people will start to recognize the name, and then they'll probably have a luxury model and a basic model and do all that market differentiation stuff. So if you see me walking around with the latest Samsung Galaxy Note model pressed up to my ear, you should stop me and say, hey, didn't you say it's not about getting the best phone, but about getting the best value? And I'll either say, yes, you're right, thank you for reminding me, or I'll say, I'm a millionaire now and I don't care. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Shopping is easy when you know